The opening of Galaxy's Edge really clarifies the rot at the core of Disney Star Wars. The question I'm left asking is, why does Disney want the appearance of the thing without the substance and reality of the thing? Why purchase Star Wars and disregard everything that made Star Wars so beloved? For example, I went on a high school trip to Japan and my Japanese really wasn't that good, but I could talk to other kids in terms of Star Wars. It was so powerful and so beloved because it was essentially a timeless hero's journey, a form of archetypal storytelling that's a universal truth in all human cultures. It's not an American story, it's a human story, something that binds us together despite our different cultures. The universe George created was so incredibly vast and diverse and alien. It really felt like someplace very far away and very different from our own world. But the depth of characters and universality of the archetypes they represented made them feel almost like members of the family. I was so hopeful when Disney bought Star Wars. I trusted George's judgment in choosing who to give this precious, priceless gem to. I thought Disney was a company that valued storytelling and understood brand integrity. Instead, they've slowly eroded away everything that made Star Wars so special. First, they ended the expanded universe. Yes, there were contradictory stories in some areas, but there was so much depth in the stories and new characters. I dreamed of being a pilot when I was a little girl, in part because of the Rogue Squadron video game and the X-Wing novel series. In the blink of an eye, Disney threw it all away, including, I might add, a trilogy of novels featuring one of my favorite characters, Jaina Solo, Sword of the Jedi. I was willing to forgive this if they gave us new stories and characters that I could relate to and grow to love as much as everyone I grew up with. For all its flaws, at the time The Force Awakens seemed like a decent start to this. It definitely wasn't perfect, and you can tell that the people making it weren't masters of the hero's journey like George Lucas, but it seemed to fit and was a decent foundation to build on. Then The Last Jedi happened. Quite frankly, I spent the years between The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi undergoing some extremely brutal medical treatment, including 3 months of absolute hell before The Last Jedi came out. The one thing that kept me going was the hope of the moment I waited for my entire life: seeing my childhood hero Luke Skywalker on the big screen as a Jedi Master. What I saw was so devastating that in many ways I am still not over it. I am not at all over the shock and horror of seeing my childhood hero utterly desecrated and destroyed, or watching the murder of the galaxy far, far away's hope and light. I wish I had not survived that long. I had not cried that hard since my grandfather's death. I just sat through the murder of my childhood hero. I have been sick my whole life, and Luke and Star Wars helped me get through a lot of it. Now Disney has made me understand one of the things about the prequels that I hated the most. I now completely understand how Padme could lose the will to live. In many ways, I've lost the will to live myself, and I can't find anything at all to fill that hole, especially since Star Trek and Doctor Who have also been destroyed. I wasn't that into Game of Thrones, but I think part of why the debacle of Season 8 hit me as hard as it did was because it was the last series that I was watching that had not been ruined. Stories not only help us escape reality, they help us explain the inexplicable. They help us activate our imagination so we can soar above the sometimes brutal nature of our lives. They help us learn vital lessons and fundamental truths of life. They help us discover who we are and shape children's growth into independent adults. It used to be that when you wanted this kind of story, you watched a Disney movie, but no more. It truly seems as if Disney has completely lost sight of who they are. It's sad to say that the master of branding seems to have no integrity whatsoever anymore. Now they're all about the cash grab and don't seem to care or understand at all why people loved Star Wars so much. It is so easy that it is mind-boggling how blind they are. People want great characters and great stories. We want heroes to cheer for and villains to loathe. In short, we want more of the hero's journey, the archetypal mode of storytelling that has been with humans for thousands of years. The best part is there is an infinite number of variations, and depending on the story and the world the story is set in, anyone can be the hero. And everyone can identify with the hero, because heroes have character traits that make them relatable. And like all humans, heroes face adversity which they have to respond to. And overcoming that adversity, despite the fear and pain, is what makes a hero a hero. This is why so many people fell in love with George Lucas's creation in 1977, a movie simply called Star Wars. But Disney has forgotten everything that made us fall in love with Star Wars. If Disney of 2019 had made Star Wars in 1977, it would have been forgotten because they don't know how to tell stories anymore. We first heard about the Outer Rim territories in the novelization of Star Wars in 1977. Why set this new theme park land in the Outer Rim if you're not including anything of substance from Star Wars? I used to bow to current convention by calling it a new hope, but I simply do not care anymore. To quote one of my inspirations, Gary from Nerdrotic, I do not kneel. I grew up calling that movie Star Wars, and it will always be Star Wars to me. Without that movie, none of us would be here talking about Star Wars. Without George Lucas, there would be no Star Wars. It disgusts me beyond all measure that Disney had the gall to trot out George, Billy D., Mark, and Harrison for the opening of their latest cash grab. Opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. How dare they spit in the faces of these men by creating a theme park land that's Star Wars in name only. Just the appearance of the thing and none of the substance of the thing. This is supposedly an outpost on a planet in the unknown regions. And where did we first hear about the unknown regions? That's right, in the expanded universe that Disney brilliantly threw out. Specifically in the Heir to the Empire sourcebook, aka the only sequel trilogy that actually matters, the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn and greenlit by George Lucas. Building a lightsaber has been a thing you could do for a while at Disney parks, but now it's turned into something you can do if you got 3 hours and $215 to spare. Why bother? You can buy a combat-ready lightsaber online that's a lot higher quality, that costs a lot less, in less than half that time, from the comfort of your own home. And those telescoping plastic lightsabers don't stand up at all to play. I lost count of the number of lightsabers I broke when I was a kid. Seriously, parents, get something of a lot higher quality from a place like Ultra Saber. Your wallet and your kids will thank me. And to top it all off, they have to throw purple lightsabers in this all. Purple lightsabers, which have had no part at all in the sequel trilogy. Where did we first see purple lightsabers? Oh, that's right, with Baka Seka in the video game Jedi Knight in 1997. Just part of the EU that Disney threw out. And who are 3 of the most famous wielders of purple lightsabers? Mace Windu from the prequel trilogy, Jaina Solo, expert fighter pilot and Sword of the Jedi, and of course Mara Jade Skywalker. Why do any of this? Why? Why make a Star Wars land that does not include Star Wars? They got a lot of guts doing this after what they've pulled.